Hey guys, and welcome to the last part of this startup tutorial in which we are building this landing page and MVP for a social tracker tool. The goal is really to give you a way of testing your own business ideas. So in the last part, we're actually gonna create a working MVP. And what I was thinking for the MVP is not to build like a fully fledged SaaS app with like full user registration and sign up and all that kind of stuff, but rather to keep it very simple. So for a social tracker MVP, what it needs to do is literally track the social stats. So what if we just use Google Sheets as our database and import everything there on like a daily basis, and then create a little interface to give to our customers to make it look a bit nicer. So one way to do it in Google Sheets is literally have several tabs as I have here. So there's like an Instagram tab for Twitter and Alexa rankings. And then you can go into Tools and Script Editor, in which you can then create your JavaScript functions to actually import this data. And those functions can get triggered by custom timers so that they run every day or every hour, depending on how quickly you want to do it. So then we have our database, and all we then need to do is link it up to a sort of report. And Google, next to Google Sheets, also provides a tool named Data Studio, which uses Google Sheets as their database. It can use many different sources as well, but for this MVP, it's pretty cool that we can use Google Sheets. So as you see, I already hooked it up as an example, and you have like a date filter. The client or the user can literally see for every day what their stats are, and we can fully customize this as well. So I'll show you how to do that too, but let's start with setting up the Google Sheets and then the script. Okay, so let's jump in here with an empty file. Alright, so we're already at the last step of this startup series in which we are validating our business idea and coming up with like a very quick way to do that. So by now you might have promoted your own landing page and actually got leads, and might even have gotten leads on one of the paid plans, which would be like ideal. So what you then want to do is obviously not wait for their payment to come in until you have like this fully fledged product available. Ideally, you want to get something out the door quite quickly, let's say a minimum viable product. So this will be actually a sometimes misunderstood term of like MVP is something very scrappy. I think with an MVP, you should actually have something that you can ask money for. So obviously you might discount it because it doesn't look super nice or it's not like the final product, but you want to test whether you can actually make money. So for this particular tracking tool, it's all about like the analytics. So there are many tools available. As I explained in the introduction, we can use Google Sheets as our database where we have different tabs for different social tools. So what we can do is create a different database for each user that we have. So if you fill in your email address and say, okay, I want to track my Instagram, Twitter, and Alexa accounts, we can create one sheet for you, link it up to a Data Studio report, and then visualize it in here. And then what we do with the user is we just share the link to this particular report. So this video, I'm not gonna show you all the little details on how to set this up and all the code behind it. Some of you might be very tech savvy, some might not. So I'll leave that for detailed tutorials. So in the description below, or even if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll link to the article. And I'll add more social accounts as we go. But I'll explain in those articles how to do this for each individual social account. So if you're into Instagram, I'll explain specifically how to track your social stats from Instagram. But just to give you like a little rundown of what that will entail. So what we'll do is we'll have like an empty Google Sheet. So this one is filled. So we'll have something like this, where for the Alexa data, we're going to track the date, the global Alexa rank, and the local Alexa rank. So if you don't know what the Alexa rank is, it's basically a ranking of all the websites on the internet, mainly based on like the amount of traffic that goes to those pages. So websites like Google and Amazon are ranked very high. So then what we can do is tap into their API, or if you want to be very scrappy, maybe scrape from those websites the numbers, and then literally track that every day. So run it each day again. Preferably at the same time. So within Google Sheets, you can run different scripts, but it's this script editor here. If you open that up, you become in a page like this. So this is sort of the backend where you can then insert your code. I already written the scripts here, and as I said, I'll explain this in very detail in different tutorials, but this is just to give you an idea of what you can do with Google Sheets. So in this case, I have the script to get from the Alexa API the data for Amazon.com. So two things you then do. You can hit play here to then authorize this particular Google Sheet to insert data and give access to your account. So it's basically asking you to give access rights to edit your specific Google Sheet. You might get into this error, and that is all totally fine. Just click advanced and then go to whatever the name of your sheet is, and then give it access. So you're basically giving access to edit it. Cool. So that is then running in the background. So let's see what happened. So what should have happened is it insert data here. So it didn't do that. That's mainly because I have 3 tabs open, and or am I on the wrong one? Yeah, so it edited here. So it edited on the main tab. So I had an error in my sheet where it's inserting it in the wrong tab. So you have to test this carefully. So this is good to actually run into. But what you see, it just inserted the data below for this particular website on this date. This is the global rank and this is the local rank. So let's run it again. Preparing for execution is running the particular function, and then it adds it below. The thing we don't want to do obviously is to manually go in here, press play each day again. So what we can do is set up so-called triggers. So these project triggers can run either on specific actions within the sheet. So if you open the sheet or whether you edit the sheet, it can run based on time as well. And that's ideally what we want to do. So this is the function that we want to run, and we run it on a time-driven event. And then we want to run it not every hour, but every day. And whatever time of the day. I usually do it somewhere in the morning. So let's say midnight to 1 a.m. Cool, press save. And what this now specifically means is that this script will get executed every day again. And if there is an error, you will get notified and you can fix it yourself. Then the next step is to, let's say we set this all up, and I'll explain in different tutorials, and if you're interested in that, the link is below. But just to show you how you can create the MVP, if you have then this database set up, you can go into something called Google Data Studio. So this Google Data Studio, and create a new file. So what you'll end up with is something like this, a new report, a new blank report. This is very blank, by the way. Okay, I'll just explain it from here. So the way Google Data Studio works, there are different sources that you can add. So on the resources page, you can add and manage your data sources. And as you see here, I've added the data sources from this particular Google Sheet. So every single tab in the sheet is a data source. You can add these here by adding a data source and finding it within your Google Drive. This will be quite intuitive once you're in here. And then once you have added it, you can drag and drop different sort of visualizations. You can add a chart, you can add tables, you can add pie charts, bar charts, all kinds of graphs. So if you drag and drop that in here, let's select this one, you can select the different sources and all the different metrics that are associated with this. Again, the best way to understand this is literally to try it out. But if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop me a message either on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Doesn't really matter where. Just send me a message and I'll try to help you out with this. But again, this is just to show you how you can build a product without actually hard coding a lot. Very quickly get a sort of product out the door. Last step would then be to share this with the client, obviously. So you can get a report link, and this unique link you can then email to your client. you can even set up like daily email triggers. So schedule email delivery, you could insert the email of your user, and then they get an email every single day in the morning, for instance, which is ideal. So you've automated all your work then, and if they pay you for that, you actually have very good validation for that product to start investing more time and more resources into like building the next version. So I hope this has given you quite a good rundown on how you can start with an idea to building sort of an MVP version that you can actually ask money for. And if you have any questions, just drop me a note. If you have specifically any questions on Google Data Studio, Google Sheets, or Landingi, yeah, feel free to get in touch. I'll leave a comment. Yeah, I hope it was very helpful, and see you at the next tutorial.